This episode is brought to you by Google Gemini. With the Gemini app, you can talk live and have a real-time conversation with an AI assistant. It's great for all kinds of things, like if you want to practice for an upcoming interview, ask for advice on things to do in a new city, or brainstorm creative ideas. And by the way, this script was actually read by Gemini. Download the Gemini app for iOS and Android today. Must be 18 plus to use Gemini Live.
'Twas the nights before Christmas. Despite last-minute stress, few were delivering except Walmart Express.
Stockings were hung by the fireplace with care, knowing in about an hour stuffers would soon be there.
On to the road, Walmart Express delivery went. Chock full of wondrous things in the St. Nick of time sent. Let's go!
Get express delivery in as fast as an hour, even on Christmas Eve. Orders must be placed by 4 p.m. local time on 12/24. Subject to availability. Fees and restrictions apply.
Express delivery to y'all and to all a good night. Welcome to your Walmart.
I have absolutely nothing that I want to come on here and talk about. So we're going to have a real chill, real mellow podcast episode today. Welcome back to the Distract Me Please podcast. I'm your host, Brianna Silva, and today I am here by myself as always, as usual. Can we all agree that this is a guest-free podcast? I understand having guests. I understand the guest relationship. I understand that from a podcast business standpoint, it's how you grow the show through collaboration. It's how people find you. My issue is, personally, as a consumer of podcast episodes, I prefer podcast episodes that never have guests on unless the guest can bring something of value to the show. And I don't mean that from a business perspective, but I mean that from an audience member perspective. And so what that looks like to me is, for example, on the Zane and Heath Unfiltered podcast, Zane is a big fan of Miss Juicy Baby. And so when she was on, it was the most exciting thing ever, because I was like, oh my God, Zane is such a huge fan, right? And so I love seeing people that they're fans of, like huge fans, as like guests that are strangers, basically. And then any other guest on the show, I love when it's a personal friend. So for example, for the Call Her Daddy podcast, I love when her friend Lauren is on the show. Dare we call her Laren? In fact, it's why I've started calling one of my friends Lauren, Laren, because of it's Laren, like Laren, the way she says it is just so good. And so I love that, because I listen to your podcast to listen to you, your thoughts, and your opinions. But within the podcasting realm, the way to grow an audience, the way to get more eyes on you is through guests. The thing is, I don't necessarily find that, dare I say, sustainable. And this is coming from a person who sees Call Her Daddy and the Joe Rogan Experience as the two top podcasts out there, right? Just constantly inviting celebrities. Even Kai Cenat, his live stream, he's just constantly inviting these big name celebrities and getting this big name on him, like these big names on his live stream. And that's what makes him so big. I personally just don't enjoy that in a podcast, though. I really don't. And so with that being said, and I know this is crazy because the only people I've ever had on were my friends and cousins and like personal people in the show. I've also decided I am not releasing the cousin episode. If you have been here long enough to know what I'm talking about when I say the cousin episode, I'm just not releasing it. And I think it's just in my best career interest. Because when I say y'all, we got deep, very deep in topic, very deep and very personal in life. And not just that, but very spilling the tea type of episode. And where I want to go career-wise, I just don't think putting an episode where we were so loose-lipped like that is in anyone's best interest. And so we're letting it go. And I just know I had a very fun, very deep conversation with my cousins, but we're going to let that episode go. And I'm just going to keep it for my personal files. I don't know why I was saying it like that. Almost sounded like blackmail. Not as blackmail, but like as a memorabilia to like, y'all remember when we did that? Crazy, right? Like so funny. But yeah, so this is coming from someone who's only had friends and family members on the show. But I just even think I almost want to move, and not almost want to move. I have moved away. I have moved away from trying to find, from trying to put my friends on this show. Because one thing that I have started, this is so weird to say, but like one thing that I almost feel like I always have a hard time doing is that sometimes when I have certain friends, like there's two people that instantly come to mind. When I put them with a podcast in their hand, their personalities explode, and it's so phenomenal and it's so amazing, and like we sit there and we banter and we chit chat. The thing is, it wasn't like that across the board for all my friends. I love them so dear to the bottom of my heart, but a lot of the times they hopped on a mic and I watched their personalities crank down more than stay the same or crank up like I typically expect people to. I typically expect people's personalities to crank up with the mic because that is what happens to me. I get a mic in my hand and my personality cranks up. But I learned that with some of my friends, their personalities crank down by a lot. And I was just like, oh dear God. And sometimes it's really hard to pick that energy up when you have someone who's just kind of nervous to basically be center stage. And so it was just so funny. So I was just like, all right, I need to learn how to bring guests of value like to a show. And I know that's a weird thing to say about my friends, but it's like, it's not that my friends don't have value in my life and in my podcasting journey. They absolutely, I don't even think I can put a price of value on that. Like it is priceless to have these people in my life, and I love and enjoy them so dearly. But to the show, creating, to the idea that I have for this podcast in my mind, it was like, oh, babes, let's not put you on the spot like that again. You look like you're going to throw up. I'm not going to do that again to you. Oh my God. And so so I think this is going to be more like the Emma. The funny thing is, I always compare myself to the Emma Chamberlain podcast, Anything Goes, because I know she just sits there in her room and kind of speaks quietly and softly, but I don't listen to her podcast episode at all. The few times that I've tried listening to it, here's my gripe with Emma Chamberlain. Starts internet beef with her. I don't hate the girl. I really don't. But through her transformation in becoming one of the biggest influencers like out there in America right now, I did not like who she became. And I'm not talking in the sense of, oh, I don't like her and I think she's evil. I'm just talking about like her personality switch that needed to happen. I just wasn't there for it because I loved her for the chaos and like the misdirection of it all. But for her to continue walking, the very successful career that she has, that's given her Chamberlain Coffee. And the last time I heard, Chamberlain Coffee wasn't pulling in a profit. And I do hope it's profitable because we support women-owned businesses here. But to become this big influencer, to stay at the level of profitability that she's been able to do, especially coming from a family that just did not have much. I don't even know to what extent, because from listening to the Celebrity Memoir Book Club, we're going to get to that. But basically, from her own words, she came from a very, very poor family. Whether she's a reliable narrator in that or not, I don't know. But from her eyes, very poor, very disadvantaged. And now she's basically sitting at a level of wealth I don't think she could have imagined at all for herself. I think her fans could, but she couldn't. And I just love those days of like iced coffee runs. Didn't really have, this is going to sound so messed up, but didn't really have a lot of like internet friends to call on. And it was just her, a camera, her intrusive thoughts and chaos. And now it's had to mellow out. She's had to become mellow, whether that's just SSRIs or something like that. And she's had to become mellow, and she's had to just like sit in this very calm energy 24/7. And you really see that in her content. And that's where she finds peace, and that's where she finds happiness. And for me, I was like, oh, that's so fun, but I'm not there spiritually or mentally. And I enjoy people who have chaos in their life, whether that's the chaos of their personality or the chaos of life isn't going well, so let's like just go through it. And what I mean by that is the first person I think of is Caitlin Ray and Vereen. Or is her name Verena? I think it's Verena. I haven't watched her in a while, but I know she still has a lot of chaos going on. But to me, those are two people who are like chaotic personalities and a mixture of mental health that like amplifies that chaotic personality. And so Caitlin Ray was known for impulsive decisions when she was first taking off. I mean, had the impulsive decisions merch, which I wish I could afford at the time. Oh my God, Caitlin, can I just get one specifically tailored and made for me, please? Like, oh my God, loved that, loved her. But you know, she does a lot of like, hey, I just booked a ticket and left out to go to Vegas, or I just booked a ticket to go see this concert, this festival out of the country with my friends, just like boom. And then she's like gone off of YouTube for like 5 months, and then she comes back, she's like, hey guys, mental health breakdowns, woo, let me show you what I vlogged. And like, to me, that's just so fun because it's like a personality mixture with the like just chaos of like life isn't all that great, because I feel like that's where I am in life. So I always love to see like, not that necessarily, nope, it's giving that, no matter as much as I want to say that it's not, but almost like a misery loves company. And I think we all need to heal. But like watching someone who's actively fighting for the benefit of, I'm not talking about like I want to watch someone just deteriorate mentally, but like I love watching her because she actively comes on and talks about like, yeah, I just got diagnosed with this, I just got a trainer, I'm trying to work out, I'm finding peace, I'm finding stability. And it's because like I'm in my own life going through that fight too, of like trying to find mental stability, trying to literally afford a therapist, trying to afford psychiatric I guess I would say psychiatric care. Yeah, that would be the correct term. But, you know, just like basically getting prescribed the right medications and this and that. But just needing health insurance for that, because like also like culture plays a huge thing in it of like, you know what, this is for my first gen girlies. Anyone else who's raised in a family, especially as like a first generation American, where you tell your parents like, hey, while I'm on your health insurance, like I need to go get like mental health help, everything's not okay. And I'm realizing it's like past the normal, like I'm just sad, or today I was really scared because of this event, but like, hey, I don't want to walk out my door anymore. And your parents kind of look at you and they go, so you're listening to the Americans now? And you're just sitting there like, well, this is why I want to myself, girl. Feel your pain. Or my other favorite statement, we pray about that. We pray that away. If you had more God in your life, you wouldn't feel like that, because you would remember how much you're grateful for. And you're just like, I don't know what to you know what, maybe you're right. Or the other common statement, what do you have to be depressed about? You have a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and food on the table. What do you have to be depressed about? And you're just like, oh my God, the depression has left my body. Thank you so much. You have healed me. You have cured me. Thank you. And so it's like fighting with that aspect of like, okay, I'm not on my own health insurance. So now I have to like kind of find the in between with the person who doesn't believe in mental health help. And then on top of that, I'm also in between, like just graduated looking for jobs, like still unemployed, which this is the first place that I'm going to drop this news. I haven't told anyone in my close circle. So if anyone's listening to this podcast and finds out this way, congratulations. But I just personally don't want to tell the information to like people in my everyday life. But I got a very promising interview that's coming up soon. And I'm just it's so messed up because let's finish one conversation and go to the next. So yes, I am like looking for my own health insurance, unemployed, and I am just currently in a system that doesn't make it as easy to find jobs. Getting a job to companies is like swiping on a dating app, where because of globalization, because of the internet, they have so many applications or applicants put in for the job. And so like, why take a chance on someone, which used to be the norm? I know all the like older generations will always say like, oh, why don't you just walk in, introduce yourself to the manager and hand your resume over? And it's like, girl, this is how I know you haven't looked for a job in a long time. Go try that right now with your experience and everything. Go walk in and try that right now. You get turned away so quickly. Because once you put the job application online, instead of finding it in local newspapers, word of mouth, now you can find any job that you can think of. You can find an application for it online. So these jobs are getting hundreds of applications per job posting. So you no longer need to take a chance on that one person that you had who walked into your store and introduced themselves and like volunteered. Now you can just simply go for the best candidate that you're looking for in your head. Because if you're getting over 300 applications for the job, I bet you there is someone who not only meets the minimum requirements, but exceeds it. So why would you go for the person who, if you ask for 4 years if you ask for a completed degree, but they're like, actually, I complete my degree next semester. Is that going to work? Why would you say yes when there's 300 applications? I bet you 250 of them already have the completed degree. And so being in that and like trying to get my own benefits and stuff while also like trying to work with what I have, it's been like weird, and it sucks because I'm also at an age where I'm like telling myself like, I am too grown for this. I am too grown to be going through this. But then like seeing other people online go through it, I'm like, oh, right now it's a systematic failure. Got it. Okay. How do I take like with all that information that I got, knowing it's a systematic failure, how do I alter my life to better support me within the system that I have to work with, basically? So the next thing is I have gotten another promising interview and I scheduled the appointment, but they haven't emailed me they asked me to confirm a date and time. I emailed to confirm the date and time, but they haven't emailed me back to confirm like, all right, great. Can't wait to see you then. And so it's like in a week or so. And so there's still time. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is a fake company. Because I applied and then the following day, they already were like, hey, we want you to come in and we want you to interview. And then I went and did research about them. And I was like, oh, this is a legitimate company. This can be very promising. But I've also already had a number of applications that were like, hey, we want to interview you. And I'm like, okay, I'm available at this time. And then silence. And then that time comes closer and I like email them the day before and I'm like, hey, it's still available. Silence. Email them the day of, hey, how you doing, bestie? Connie, come here. I don't know what you are doing, but there is a candle on that table and you're about to knock it down. Sorry. Sorry y'all had to hear that. Oh my God, so embarrassing. No, basically, Connie. So I have this table that's more of like a decorative table to put decorations on it. But because it's a metal table, like very cheap, just pops out type of table. I don't even know where I got this table. It honestly might have been Five Below. But yeah, it's not a very secure, stable table at all. So I put all decorations on it. And the other thing I put on it is any lit candle that I have, because it's a metal table. So if the candle happens to fall over or fall on it, it's metal, it'll be fine. I just look up and Connie is sniffing around the table so aggressively that the table, y'all, I'm talking, the table was shaking more than when I leaned back in the squeaky chair. You hear this? The table was shaking harder than that. The table was shaking like a chihuahua, just freezing cold in the winter without a jacket. I had to get a little aggressive there. But anyways, oh my gosh, the other thing that I was talking about. So yeah, so that's basically it. It's just systems and whatnot. And I feel so bad. I feel so bad for people, especially people who are older than me, who have already had a career going, basically, because oh, now you're upset at me because I didn't want you to have a candle with hot wax fall on top of you. Huh? Look, go lie down. Thank you. Ooh.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first, like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
That's a lot of sounds happening in this house. She's so mad at me. She's so mad that I just yelled at her. Like, girl, I didn't want you to get burned. It ain't that big of a deal. But I always feel so bad because recently there are like people who I know through family members, family friends who are like in their 50s, like late 40s to late 50s is the age group because it's multiple people who a few of them got laid off and then a few of them didn't like their job. So they stepped away and they haven't job searched since job searching hit this point of like numbers game, like it's dating. And I feel so bad because I've been doing it for long enough, for a couple of months, that I'm like, okay, this is miserable. This sucks. But I kind of know what to expect now. And I kind of know how to play the game, even though it's not necessarily working. But I understand the steps that I now have to actively take constantly. In fact, I literally have to go email and network with another girl right after I finish recording and edit this and get it posted for tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Oh yeah, podcast episodes coming out every Tuesday and Friday now. But to watch older people who have houses and mortgages, which is the same thing, and car notes and children and all these other responsibilities that they've built up through working very hard in life, and watching that go down the drain, and they're getting put in the same position that I'm in, which is fight to the death to find a job and having to play the numbers game. Like you're on Tinder, swiping through a bunch of people, swiping through hundreds of people before you finally find someone that you actually like and you can put up with and you enjoy and y'all have the same interests. And you're just kind of like, okay, person number 174, let's go on this date finally. And it all kind of starts to click and work out, whether that leads to a serious relationship or whether that just leads to like, okay, well, here's the first date, you know, and it just kind of ends there. But like, that's what finding a job feels like right now. And so now these grown people who have the experience, who have the degree, are now complaining about the same thing I'm complaining about, and I'm just entering. And for me, I'm like, well, if I had the experience, I could apply to more jobs. And I'm sitting here going, oh no, if I had the experience, it wouldn't matter. Like there's always going to be, people who kind of outcompete you in this sense. On top of ghost postings of people who post jobs just to say that they're growing in numbers in the company, but actually like the job never existed in the first place. Yeah, it's been hard. And so like listening to these grown people complain about it, it's just like a part of me is just like, oh, this is so disheartening. And so because of that and because of my experience, it's almost like this is so crazy to say, but every time I haven't said it that often. I think I've said it to like two people, but for the most part, I always like sit down and talk to myself about it, basically, kind of like I'm doing now. But it's so weird that I've gone through it and not even for that long. It hasn't been a full year. I think it's only been 7 months of like ghosted, rejected, that's basically it. It's ghosted, rejected, whether that's ghosted from, hey, we want to set up an interview, and then I never hear from them again, or I do the interview and then I never hear from them again. But like, it's only been 7 months, 120 applications later, and which I still feel like that number should be higher for 7 months later, but that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes I get so angry that I can't put my 10 applications a day that I want to do, but it takes so long because I have to do like writing assessments and everything with my applications because of the field that I want to go into. But that's besides the point. That's me being American and feeling like I constantly have to be an overachiever to feel like there's value of any kind in my life. But that's besides the point. But like, just for the short amount of time that I've done it, this being the first time that I've had to do it, and I already feel like, oh my God, what is the word for it? It's like learned helplessness, where basically you have everything that you have tried has led to the same negative outcome. So you almost give up. And that's kind of how I felt. Like typically when I was like, oh my God, like I got an interview, I was like texting my friends like, guys, wish me luck. Oh my God, I can't believe I got this. Now this time I'm like, I'm not even telling anyone because I don't want to get my hopes up. And I don't want the feeling of having to explain to 6 different people like, yeah, that didn't work out. They just kind of ghosted me. Like whatever. And it's like, I don't want the negative fallback of that. And so I'm going to tell it to hundreds of people on the internet instead because it's like easier to basically put that on the internet because in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm helping people who might also feel this way. And so like we can connect together. But with the people in my immediate circle, none of us are actually in the same boat. We're all in different phases in life. And so it's just so weird to like be explaining it to people. And I can see that it's not registering in some people's head what I'm going through. And they're just kind of like, there's no way it's that bad. Why are you complaining? And then there's the other side of like, I'm telling it to people and they're just like, yes, I know it's that bad. Why are you complaining? We already know this. And it's like, guys, I'm going through it for the first time, please. But it's just so weird. It's so weird. It's just so weird. It's really weird. I felt a level of hopelessness before in my life, but this one, I have to say, this one takes the cake. My mental health has not been good recently. I am way more irritable. My fuse has gotten way shorter when it comes to dealing with people. I don't have patience for people, and I'm kind of getting to the point where I don't have that much kindness to hold in my heart for people. And what I mean by that is, I'm putting myself first at a rate that I feel like from the outside looking in would be considered unhealthy and would be a sign of like, hey girl, we need to have a talk. But from sitting here internally with myself, it's kind of like, this is all I can do right now because I don't have the help or resources that I need to go about fixing the situations that like are making me feel this way. Basically, like I kind of have to like sit here and take baby steps every day until things get better, you know? And a lot of it just deals with like locational issues is what I'll say. Like just locational issues, the environment that I'm in, the people that I'm surrounded by day in and day out. It's a very isolating feeling. And like sometimes I just don't talk about that to people, or I don't know how to explain it to people. But like it is so isolating, the environment that I've had to come back to basically, and the circle of people that I've had to come back to, and the environment that I've had to just like come right back to. It's like, oh dear God, where are the open thinkers and the people who aren't afraid to live loud and be proud? And where did all of y'all go? How did I end up in this very conservative, racist bubble? And my only option to leave and find a better circle, a better bubble, is to get a job and move. But getting a job and moving, that system is failing me right now. And so it's like, oh dear God, what do I do? So, you know, it's like I know what I have to do to fix this, but that's taking a really long time. And so my fuse cut in half, bro. I think the amount of arguments that I have started with people in my immediate circle is kind of insane. It really, like, people who I never used to like lose my cool towards, I have lost it. And I have for example, yesterday I damaged my mom's truck. I completely took her truck through a car wash, and a piece of her truck just ripped off in the car wash. And I was like, oh, I'm dead. So then I go to my uncle's house to have my cousin Ben help me fix what I have just broken. And he was like, there's no fixing this. All we can do is just remove the rest of the piece and like hope she doesn't kill you. And I was like, you know what? I agree with that plan. It sounds like the best plan. Let's do this. And in the process of doing this, my uncle walks over and he's just like, does your mother know that she has your truck? And I'm already like so short-tempered because everything that I had planned for the day has gone out the window because now I have to deal with this piece that I just broke that I probably can't afford. And so I was just like, why are you asking questions that aren't relevant right now? Okay, so like the fuse is gone, babes. The fuse is still like sparking a little, right? Like the fuse is sitting next to an open flame, and there's not enough fuse left to be left next to an open flame and to be safe. And so the sparks are touching the fuse, and he's just like, you know, coming with an accelerant, and it's just like, does your mom know that you have her truck? And I was just like, yes. Very short, very straight to the point, because I'm already not okay mentally. Like I crashed out, like I had a crash out moment in the truck on the way to my uncle's house. And now he's talking to me about the situation. Stop. And so he's just like, does your mother know you have her truck? Yes. Why are you parking right here in the street? Because I'm not going to stay here long. I just need some help. Oh, okay. What do you need help with? Oh my God. I broke a piece on my mother's truck. I am trying to fix it so she doesn't kill me. Have you told your mom yet? Does it look like I've told my mother? Oh, well, I'm just oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then he walks away, and then he comes back. You know, you're going to have to tell your mom. Lost it. Guys, I lost it. And this is an uncle who I typically don't raise my voice at, don't get crazy, and it's not even because like, oh my God, like he doesn't deserve it. No, it's because I've learned that I can't change these people, and so I've just accepted them for who they are, and it's only my reaction that I can change, right? This time, fully lose it. I am fully aware that I have to tell my mother, okay, thank you very much, I'm aware, you can stop. And and he's just looking at me, and I'm walking away. I got Connie in my hands because I brought Connie with me to the car wash because I was like, this isn't going to take long. Let's go, little buddy. We're not going into any stores. You just sit in the car with me. Let's go. And now I'm holding my dog, trying to get her to not run into the middle of the street. And he's just like, not even yelling, but just like pointing out the most obvious things that everyone really knows what's going to happen here. And I am just like, why are you talking? You're just talking and talking and talking. And I don't need your opinion right now because it's so irrelevant. And I'm fuming, pissed. And then he just left. He left his own house, bro. So like, that's where I am. And so I'm just like, I'm getting so short with people, just very short, just very, what? Why are you talking? Literally yelled at me. And Ben has a whole other attitude, right? Me and Ben, he's basically yelling at me all day and I'm laughing at him because I'm just like, this is just Ben. But literally he's like, oh, get some pasta, put some cheese on it, whatnot. And I was like, oh, where's the cheese? He's like, oh, it's in the fridge. So I open the fridge and I look on the door because like, that's where I typically find the cheese in people's houses, on the door. So I'm looking on the door of the fridge and he's not saying anything. And I'm standing there for literally minutes. He's still not saying anything. And then finally I just go, I can't find the cheese. And he was like, yeah, because you're looking on the door like an idiot. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? You said it's in the fridge. And he was like, and where's the door? The door's not inside the fridge. Okay, I lost it again. This is after I had my full blowout with my uncle. I closed the door of the fridge and I was like, okay, so where's the door of the fridge? He's like, it's in the fridge now because the door is closed. Lose it. Screaming now. Okay, so exactly. So why the hell are you going to sit here and try to call me stupid? You're the one who doesn't know how a fridge works. Okay, when you close it. I lost it. And now we're yelling at each other. Yelling. And I typically am just like, Ben's the one with the short fuse. Ben's the one that I argue with all day. Like this doesn't, no, it bothered me that day. Fully lose it, fully screaming. And I was just like, I can't. And I keep having more and more of those situations with my family members because like, that's the bubble. That's the bubble, guys. It's the bubble. And it's like, it's just spreading out to every aspect of my life. It's just spreading out to like dating and friends and just strangers. The over niceness and kindness that I just used to like go about my day having, like this crazy amount of empathy that I used to go about having for people, I've had to turn it all inward for myself to hold myself together. And it's like there's little left for other people around me. And it's just like, it's not a good feeling to be in. And I full on had another moment of just like sobbing on the phone. Just fully sobbing on the phone with a friend because she was like, hey, do you want to go hang out? And I was like, yeah, let's get it done. Like, I'm a little stressed, but like, yeah, whatever, let's go. And then I get a phone call from a family member and I didn't like the way it sounded. And I called her back and I'm like, I'm sorry. Nope, I no longer have the energy to go out. And she's like, okay, that's fine. Start sobbing. Why are you crying? Because I feel like a horrible friend. Because you have asked me to hang out multiple times and I have told you no multiple times. I can't do it. I genuinely can't do it. I have been telling people no left and right. When people have needed me at times, I cannot go because of my life circumstances right now. And I feel like I'm being a bad person to everyone around me. And that's not a good feeling to have. To know that you have to like have the people around you basically put up with you for a while. And it really freaking sucks. And I really hate it. And I've been trying my hardest to avoid it. But it's so unavoidable and I hate it. Like, it's not just you, but it's just this overall feeling of like, why can't I get it together enough to still remain the kind, loving, compassionate person that I was before all of this? And it really sucks. And it's like, I know it's my environment because even another family member, like one of my cousins, we're so freaking close. And I've seen it happen to him when he wasn't living in this situation, in this bubble. He was perfectly fine and he was more tolerable. Heavy on the more tolerable. And now that he's back in this environment, we both have the same mindset and we both interact with the world at the same way. So I realize like it is just this bubble that we're in that we currently can't escape because the system that told us go to college, get a good job, get this, get that, blah, blah, blah. Just go talk to people, get better jobs, network, this and that. It's not working for us right now because the system has changed the rules. And so we're trying to navigate with new rules and figure it out. But in the meantime, it has slowed us down. And it's a really, really, really weird feeling to see the way how like an environment can change who you are as a person so much. And it's not fun. And I don't practically enjoy it. And I guess that's all for now. But back to Celebrity Memoir Book Club, a podcast that I've learned from listening to the Financial Diet on YouTube with Chelsea Fagan. And I have discovered that podcast and I have not looked back. Excuse me, I just burped. But one of the things that they said in the podcast with Chelsea Fagan was they love to go through celebrity memoirs and read them and dissect them on the podcast because celebrities aren't reliable narrators, especially when it comes to their lives. And then after listening to a couple of episodes, I see what they mean. And I don't think that's just specific to celebrities, but I think that's specific to people. So for example, one of the examples she gave was like, if you saw the movie Priscilla, which I love the timing of the release because the movie Elvis came out, which was giving the perspective of like Elvis was a victim to a horrible manager. And then Priscilla came out and you found out Priscilla was a victim of Elvis and he honestly wasn't that great of a person. So like it almost puts in this like Elvis showed a bad thing happened to a well-rounded person and Priscilla showed oh my God, I want to reach my candle. And Priscilla showed the narrative of, no, a really bad person went through something horrible in life. And Celebrity Memoir Book Club broke down the book that inspired the movie Priscilla, which is her memoir. And the funny thing is the memoir was supposed to give the loving and caring perspective of Elvis to show that he wasn't that horrible of a guy. Instead, it did the complete opposite and showed us that a victim of Elvis hasn't fully understood that she's a victim. And so throughout the book, she's just like, yeah. And so I just want people to understand this and to understand this and to understand this. And in the end, she was like, we were supposed to get back together, which is why it's so heartbreaking that he died. We were talking every day. We were analyzing what went wrong in our relationship. And we wanted to get back to that place of love and being together. But that's not what happened. And that's really devastating. But like as a reader, you're like, and thank God it didn't. Girl, what was that? Girl, he put you through hell and back. He was a groomer, an abuser. And to make it worse, that wasn't everything that fully went on in the relationship because she said she left out a lot of parts to show the good side of Elvis. Girl, where? Because from your perspective, Elvis was a monster, even though that's not how you see it, which was just insane to me. And so stuff like that of like, she's literally like, yeah, I was 14, he was 21, but like, he cared about me and he was so loving. And man, I was like, the girl he cared about. And I was always like number one, but everyone was like, you were 14 and he was 21. And she's just like, yeah, even though the age was weird, like, he cared about me and he taught me how to be a woman. He taught you how to be a woman? Yeah, he taught me how to be a woman and how to wear my hair and how to do my makeup and like how to dress. And it really gave me a sense of style. He groomed you. He trained me. Exactly. No, you don't get it different. So like, what? And so that's what I meant earlier when I was like, oh, I don't know if Emma Chamberlain is like a reliable narrator in saying that she grew up in a poor family, because I think we tend to do that. A lot of the things that, you know, the perspective that we have on our lives, because it clashes with, because it includes our emotions, sometimes I don't think we fully understand the full story and the full scope of our story, whether it's a story that should be filled with more sadness than we actually experience, but instead we turned out fine. So it's like, to us, it's a story of resilience, and everyone else is like, you should be on a floor somewhere in a therapist's office sobbing for 40 nights and 40 days. Or the other perspective of like, we actually had a really good life and we were very privileged in the life that we lived, but because we dealt with things that made us sad, we don't see it that way. And so instead our life, like, even though it's a life of privilege that, you know, other people can see, we see it as like, no, but I struggled and I was fighting. Can you believe this happened? I swear to God, I keep hearing sounds like someone's trying to break into this house. But like, can you believe this happened? And the example that I have of that is Matt Rife's memoir. And the way he wrote his memoir was just very obvious that this young boy, not just a young boy, but this young white straight man hasn't gone through much in life. But because he hasn't gone through much, the few things that he did go through was very sad for him. And he told it like, and can you believe these struggles that I went through? But if you're truly reading the book, it's like, babes, this is nothing. Like, one of the things that he had to keep like struggling with was like, I can't believe I was 20 and I had only been on like one TV show ever after like starting my career. Like, can you believe no one wanted to take a chance on me? And it was like, yeah, because you were 20 and you had absolutely no experience in this realm. And so like just expecting people to give you opportunities is kind of crazy when there are other people who, big and small, has probably done more than you and got more opportunities. Like, no, I can see that. But it's like so funny because like, girl, yeah, like bro, if you listen to the beginning episodes of this podcast, which are not on YouTube, you would have to go to Spotify for like the earlier versions of this podcast episode. I too was in here just like, oh my God, I can't believe no one wants to take a chance on me. Oh my God. And it's like, maybe because you have like 100 listeners per episode and you haven't done much at all. And like, it's so funny because when you're talking about the American dream and coming up, yes, people always talk about, and then someone took an opportunity on me and like, I so wasn't qualified for this, but people took a chance. And it's like, it's almost expected that those are the opportunities. And then you actually, and I'm talking about like career wise across the board. I'm talking about marketing. I'm talking about becoming a doctor. I'm talking about like becoming a lawyer, content creator, across the board. The thing that most American celebrity memoirs, I would say, or success memoirs include is like, and then so-and-so took a chance on me and my fame skyrocketed, or my career skyrocketed, or the money that I gained, like that was the turning point, was someone believed in you when you shouldn't have been believed in. And so there's this idea that like, that just kind of commonly happens and you're kind of waiting for that moment. But then you realize like those are outlier stories, but the people who tell it kind of tell it in the sense of like, yeah, so if I could do it, you can do it. Go find someone who believes in you when you have absolutely no proof that they're going to get any sort of return on investment. That's not how this works. People like taking calculated risk. People would like to take the risk on the influencer, or forget that. Let's go with like the 9 to 5, because working 9 to 5, people want to hire the marketing person who had the marketing internship, who has reliable connections within the marketing world, these connections can prepare them for the world of marketing, who can also help refer them as references to a job when someone calls and they're like, oh my God, you're very reputable in the marketing space. And like, they've just held leadership roles throughout college and organizations, versus the girl who's only worked at Walmart and is like, yeah, I could so be good in marketing. Hire me. Like, that's not how this works. And so it's so weird because, yes, there are people, especially a certain class of people, that disproportionately get the, and then so-and-so believed in me story. But it's just so funny for people to think like, because someone didn't believe in me, like that's my biggest struggle and we should all feel sorry for me. No, love. A majority of people don't have people who believe in them and they have to work themselves to the bone and prove themselves. Like, you're not special. And so it's just so funny just seeing how like people are not reliable narrators for their lives. And that's been a fun concept to think about, because then I'm like having out of body experiences where I'm like, oh my God, where am I not that a reliable narrator for my own life? In general, I think that's possibly across the board. I do not have that great of a memory, but for things that I get really emotional about, that's where my memory kicks in and like I can't forget it, which is funny because the only reason why I remember it is because I remember how I was feeling. So, which typically feelings don't always paint the big picture. So it's just really fun to think about, of like, we're not reliable narrators. Anyways, I'm gonna go continue reading the second Game of Thrones book. Actually, no, I need to email this girl and then I'm gonna go continue reading this book. Ta-ta for now. Show's over. Bye.